positivity, encouragement, and I know where to get it. Let's rise. Come on, come on, rise. Let's go higher, higher, higher. Rise with yourself. Rise with yourself. Howdy! Yeah, I got to get that out. Hey, I'm so glad that you're here today. Thank you and welcome for coming to Rise with Lisette live talk show. Yes, we are live. And you know what? I just want to tell you today that I appreciate you for stopping by the show and for, wanting to be a part of the show. So please, please, please make sure that you share and with a friend or family member. Let them know that we got a great show today. We have April Mial. She's with us. She's a director, she's a producer, and an author. So, you know what? If you know some directors and producers and authors, send them the link. All right. It's so good to be here today. You know what? I just, for a while, last week we had some nice days in the Carolinas. It was kind of nice. But, however, I mean, the cold came back. And we're saying, like, boo, we don't want the cold. We don't want the cold.
I don't want this cold, especially with these injuries I just
Oh,
received.
wow. Yeah, you
You know,
did. You hurt your leg, didn't you?
I sure did. To let everybody know, it was a very weird experience. I got the MRI, and the first thing the doctor tells me is the injury you did is only recorded 4 times. We only
Okay.
have one case study of a surgery being done. So I was like, I don't want to be number two.
Right.
Um, he said you tore different layers of your tendon in different spots, so you can't have surgery because we'd have to cut through good tendon to get to the bad tendon. So you're just going to have to endure very painful physical therapy. So yeah, got dealing with
Oh,
that.
that is not even
Yeah,
funny. I mean, to get injuries like that is not funny at all. I
no.
mean, it's amazing how we need all our little members of our body, the bones, with even they when they get broken or the tendons or ligaments. Help! I'm hurting. I mean, all these little voices be talking to you. They're hurting. That's terrible. I'm sorry. That's hope you get better real soon, Kiana. Because no fun in getting hurt today. Not at all. It's kind of interesting to me, that sometimes we just, you know, we just got to rest and we got to regroup, reboot, and get our stuff back right. And we got to take care of ourselves when we're injured. We got to say, "Hey, I'm injured and I'm trying to work through it." Sometimes you say, "You know what? I'm just going to relax. I got
Well,
to
here's the thing. I wasn't doing anything courageous. Like I told my nephew, he said, "Well, what were you doing?" I said, "Being over 30." Because all you have to do is move wrong when you get
okay,
over 30. All I did was stand up off my bed. I need to make a better story, but all I did was get up off my bed. I had a friend that she was combing her hair and all the muscles on her left side got torn. So when you get
that's
north of
crazy.
30, you just have to move wrong. But before our guest came on, you did forget something.
What's that?
You said director, producer, writer. She has about 73 other titles. She is what I refer to as the Jamaican of Hollywood because she's got
Wow.
55 jobs. But she's a phenomenal woman. And we're going to do a phone interview with her today. And the first thing I probably need to do while doing that phone interview is make sure that we can hear her. So, you want to go ahead and get her on, or did you have anything else you want to talk to me about your glorious?
No, I do. I would like to ask, did everybody enjoy the game last night?
No,
Yeah.
I did not enjoy the game. No one enjoyed the game unless you're an Eagles fan or you hate Kansas City because it was a blowout. Um, I needed Kansas City to win, not because I'm a Kansas City fan. I'm just sick of hearing about the stinking New England Patriots dynasty, and I needed something to get that taste out of my mouth. And what better than a dynasty with a quarterback who's in the same ethnicity as me. That would be great. Ken Stevenson says, I heard Keone hurt his leg doing the Harlem Shake. Yeah, I did, Ken, at your girlfriend's house. Now move on. Okay. Uh, he said, not kidding, wishing you a speedy recovery. And Clarence said, you got jokes. So thank you guys for being today. Lorraine, I know you're in here somewhere. Uh, so we'll be glad to see you. Hi. But let's go ahead and
Yeah.
welcome our guest.
Yes.
You go ahead and
Yes.
introduce her because you do that so well.
Well, I would like to introduce to you the one and the only. Stand up on your feet and give it to her. Our wonderful April Mial.
Hey guys,
Hey, how are you?
I feel like I feel so important. Thank you for all those accolades that you gave me. And yes, maybe I am part Jamaican, so I definitely enjoy what I do. So I guess I definitely will encourage any other titles. So yeah, I'm good. So thank you for that.
This is really good this morning. I'm so excited to have the opportunity to have a conversation with a wonderful person as yourself. I'm telling you, April, you are quite an amazing woman. I watch you and I just say, wow, she's so gifted and amazing. And you're a songwriter. And I'm a songwriter too, so I can relate that you're pretty
Yeah.
bad. You're a bad woman.
Well, I should come on the show more often. So thank you for that.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I would say that I'm a writer before anything. Like I know that you guys say, "Hey, I've got all these different titles," but the core of who I am is that I write, and so I've been writing as long as I can remember. And writing and reading were my things. Right, I love to write about emotion, challenges, overcoming challenges, especially women. So that's kind of like my mantra. And because women go through so many challenges. I'm sure men do too, but women go through so many challenges, and the strength of the woman is, what I actually encounter and walk through. And I definitely know that what my story is can resonate with another woman and vice versa. So that's the lane that I'm in, and I love it. And so if I can inspire another woman to be able to, get through a challenge or follow her dreams or, whatever she wants, then I've done my job. So
That's awesome.
Is it awesome? Because you guys have a man on here, so I got to chime in. I always love when we go, because it's true. We go through challenges and struggles and hardships, and then they throw in there somewhere in the middle. I'm sure men do too, but you know what? I don't get annoyed about that or perturbed because hey, we get all the benefit of the doubt. um, we know that all of the struggles in life get placed on what men have to handle, so it's always great when you can have someone express from a woman's perspective the battles that you have to go in. I know as a male, um, growing up, I'm 46. I was always taught when I go in a room to compete for something, I got one strike against me because of the way I look, right?
yeah,
and
Wow.
and I have to realize that if you're a woman who's of color just like me, I can't complain because now you've walked in that same room with me to compete and you've got two strikes.
right, right.
So, in this country, there's always been layers to it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, there's this hierarchy that we've sort of stereotypically made up. So I'm very malely aware at what women, especially women of color, have to deal with.
Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you
That
for
is
that. Yeah, thank
that
you.
is
A lot of
that's so
people don't
true.
understand.
Yes, that's so true. I just want to insert this that you have another director on the set. His name is
That
Terrie
role.
Stevenson.
And then when women start to challenge what that is, then there's an issue,
Mhm.
right? So what we have to do is continue to press forward and find our voice, find our value. I've seen, and this is a sidebar, but I've seen several situations where a strong woman has kind of wilted away in a relationship because
Mhm.
she thought that if she were to be her true self, then she would lose the man.
Mhm.
Wow.
Well, my thought process is if you have to make yourself small so he can shine, then that's not the right person for you.
I absolutely
And
agree.
we'll write about that as well. So instead of me complaining about things, I use the art form the platforms that I have in order to show women it's okay to be strong. And if he's the wrong one for you, then the right one will come.
Absolutely. I agree with that. Sometimes we, as just like you said, April, as women, we will try to hide our shine, but it feels so good to be around a man that
Mhm.
is not intimidated by your greatness. I
Right.
thank God for my husband, that
Right.
he's
Oh,
not
I do
intimidated.
too.
He's great. He's
Yeah.
great as well.
Yeah. He is great and very supportive. You're a strong woman, and he's right there with you. He has his strength,
Mhm.
and together you guys have a wonderful pair. A wonderful partnership. So,
Well,
yeah.
I think I'm so tired of praising Clarence. Get him out of
Oh
here.
Lord,
So
haterade.
I think that's the biggest. We don't want to get into generational top in politics, but two things I wanted to mention real quick based on what April was just saying. I think that's the biggest disconnect between this generation and generations before. I watched the women of my generation and my grandma's generation be taught no matter what, you subvert, you make it work, you do what you got to do to make it successful for him. And I think a lot of women are taking that back because I always used to say when I look at a housewife, that's popping out the kids and getting bigger and getting bigger while the husband's going to work and working out and looking
Mhm.
youthful. It's like when he gets ready to kick you to the curb, where are you going?
Exactly.
You've now become undesirable. You don't have a higher education to do things on your own. So
Right.
I like that women are kind of putting themselves in the forefront. And then the second part was not to get political talk, but what you just said, April, about the struggles of women. We just had an election, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I saw a stat that said men of color and I just want everybody to listen to this and let it sink in how this makes sense.
Okay.
Men of color over 40 years old primarily voted for Donald Trump over Hillary Clinton. Men of color over 50 years old, because they're 50 now, voted for Donald Trump over Kamala. But those same exact men voted for Joe Biden over Donald Trump. Does that make any sense?
No, it
Well,
doesn't.
tell me something.
It doesn't.
Men
I,
dominate, regardless. It's an unfortunate thing because if you think about, at least this is how I think, not just because I'm in this body, right? I'm in a female body. Energy is energy, right? So if I come back in this life, I may come back as a man or in a man's body, right? But I'm still the same person now. I'm still the same person. If we start looking at people in that way, as opposed to the gender that they are, the body that they are, then I think we can respect each other a lot more and then really, really hone into Kamala could have done some great, wonderful things for people because of her personality and her drive.
that's true. That's true.
As opposed to what she looked like. And I think that that's a lesson for us, too, as a society to say, we're so geared on what people look like that we miss the mark.
Mm-hmm.
We miss who that person is and how that person could enrich our lives or be an asset. I give you a prime example, and I'm guilty of it too. I'm not gonna lie, no, I voted for Kamala, but I'm just gonna say in this particular case, I have an intern that works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I come from old school where you look a certain way when you come to work. You have your hair cut close, you wear your suits or some business attire. And when he came to me, he had frilly hair. Frilly meaning he had a lot of hair. He had more than me, he had a lot of hair. It was neat, but he had a lot of hair. And he didn't come with a suit, but he came with the best that he knew how. And it was neat. And he was very neat and clean across the board. But you know what? I had to challenge myself because he didn't look like what I thought he should look like. But guess what? He's one of the people who has my back whenever work needs to get done. Is done. He's smart. He's a sponge. All of these different things. So after a while, I stopped looking at the big hair and how he was dressed. I looked at how he compliments me and makes me get the work that I need to get done.
That's right.
So that's what I'm hoping, So we're all challenged. I was challenged. So it's going to take a while probably for men to be able to accept that because of what they've been conditioned for so long.
Mm-hmm.
But it's possible. It's possible.
You know,
because you
you
have
can't.
the ones that do.
Mm-hmm.
I just think, and everybody out there also, we're not talking absolute, we're talking in general terms. We know there's
Exactly.
men who think a certain way and women who think a certain way. So we're always talking in general societal terms. I couldn't figure out if she was talking about me, but then I realized she said hair. So now I know she wasn't talking about me at all.
years old, yes.
The great we do this also from time to time. April, we have to we put up the comments. Clarence said, "If women do not lift one another, they cannot depend on men." You're right, Clarence, but it's also not the dependent thing. I always say you need people who don't look like you, whether it's gender, ethnicity, to be in the fight with you, or you won't make it. Like black people don't advance if it's only black people in the fight. You know. Ken Stevenson said she's a bad candidate. Sorry, and my response is I'm paraphrasing. She could have been a bad candidate, but the problem is she's not misogynic, is racist. So that's all I needed to make her a
I'm
bad
serious.
candidate. You know.
And you know what? Technically speaking, you can't judge a book by its cover. And if you get really technical about it, we have never seen our real selves in the first place. I've never seen me. I mean, if I look in the mirror, I can see me, the outside of me, but the real me, I cannot see. And my eyes don't turn back the other way to see me.
I
So
can see I
you
can see
can't.
the real me, and I'm annoying. Um, so you can have an idea that she was a bad candidate, and that's great. But I'd rather Lisette walk up and slap me than hit me with her car. Ken, there's a big difference.
Yes, it is.
This too. If you think she's a bad candidate, it's kind of like saying I hurt or I'm happy. I need to understand why. I was talking to a guy the other day when I went to get a watch to get a watch phone or whatever you want to call it. And so what he was saying was I did not vote. He was a black guy, maybe between 20 and 30. He says I did not vote, and I said why? He said because they were both bad, and I was like, well, at least vote for one of them, So, but I said, well, why? We know why you may not have voted for one candidate, but why didn't you vote for her? He said because she was colorism, because of her colorism. And I'm sitting here thinking, what is that?
That's that Dr. Umar thing where they kept focusing on that she's not actually black, and I'm like, I don't care if she's green.
I don't
Look at what she's running against.
An orange, something orange.
Where
Oh
this
my
guy
goodness.
is totally disrupting. Which one is worse? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I tell people all the time. You can have an opinion, but you got to back it up with some facts that really matter. Not just because of maybe you don't like the way she dresses or maybe you don't like the way she looks. But what is the work? The job is the work, not the image all the time, right?
Well, that's why I don't get on. I'm not getting on anyone else who doesn't look like me that did it. But I'll take it back to go away from political. We have a history of doing this to ourselves, especially with women. We remember we're all old enough on here to remember when Vanessa Williams won Miss America.
Yes.
First African American needed won Miss America. And the first thing the NAACP did was do an interview saying she doesn't represent us. She's not black because she doesn't look like she doesn't look like me. And I was like, why are we doing this?
Yeah, we self sabotage a lot. Anything, a lot of things that were good. Instead of taking that win and embracing her, it was we have to prove that just because I'm not comfortable with calling her X, even though she identifies as X, then I'm gonna not like her or I'm going to not support her, and that's the thing that we have to stop doing. But to your point, Yanni, I will say I definitely agree. In order to move forward, you cannot just be surrounded with people who look like you always,
right?
Because if we want the world to embrace us as African Americans, then we have to do the same for others. And that's one of the reasons why you'll see with the platform that I have, you'll see a mixture of people. You don't see just all black people or all white people. You see a mixture because I wanted to the work that I do. I want it to represent what America is, and that's my part. That's me doing my part because I want people to respect me as April, the writer, not just April, the African American person who happens to be a writer. So that's where I'm at.
April, what gave you your confidence in your, to go in this field? What gave you that confidence that you able to direct people and tell people what to do and what you like?
Tequila. Lots and lots and lots of tequila. I'm kidding.
Mhm.
I will say this now. A lot of people might not understand this, but I used to be an athlete, and part of my being an athlete was I played basketball. I'm not that tall. I'm tall, but I'm not that tall compared to a lot of the athletes out here. But I'm 5'11", 10, 11, somewhere around there. And I played a number 3, 4, and 5 position, and 5 being meaning the center at some points. But once I got into college, they were a lot taller than I was. But I was thrust into that role. My father pushed me, and then my coaches pushed me. So they saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself. And because of that because they pushed me into that leadership role, even when I played basketball with guys on Saturdays, now it's like the norm with girls playing with guys. But when I was growing up, that was not the norm. And so my strength came from playing with them, playing against them, trying to win, right? Developing my skills that way. And so what I did is I just took those skills of being a leader on the court to actually transferring those to my life and my art. And so every step of the way, I started off as a writer. Then I said, well, how hard is it to write a film short? Then how hard is it to do, a full feature? Mm-hmm. So along the way, I encountered only men, and they would show me how to edit. I might not necessarily have liked their style, so I learned how to do it myself. And I would say that just the confidence of believing in my product and getting feedback from others to say, hey, you actually got a good product here. But a combination of sports, my parents, coaches, at work, when I, my full-time job, all of those things, when people have high expectations for you,
right,
then you tend to walk in that realm a little bit better than if no one believes in you. So all of those factors kind of help me to be the person that I am, besides the tequila, but I would definitely say I definitely enjoy what I do. It's not necessarily that I like to tell people what to do, but I want them to be aligned with the vision that I have in my head. We all have a journey. We all have something that is our purpose for living. Mm-hmm. And so once I understood that mine had validity to it, I decided to stick with it. And I believe that was given to me through conversations I've had with God.
That's powerful.
Life is to get on Lisette's nerves, and I'm now understanding that Ken's purpose in life is to get on my nerves. So it's all cyclical, and you do love to tell me what to do, April. So we'll give you that. No, I'm just kidding. Majarkis, thank you for coming, Majarkis. I don't think I've seen you on here before, so thank you for being on the show. He said, watching the show, says, I grew up light skinned, always dealing with not being black enough. My strength comes through my personality. It's like when you have those type of stories, you always have to find a way, and you always figure out how the person deal with this and get through this strength. I remember, one of the hardest things I dealt with growing up was I was in an all black, impoverished, drug infested neighborhood. My mom, I've told the story a million times. So I'm telling the short version. My mom used my grandma's address so I can go to a school where everybody didn't look like me. So I got called the usual things at school, and then when I got home, I got called the usual things because I talked different and was different. So it was a very weird dynamic. The first, 10 years of growing up. I didn't like white people and I didn't like black people, and all my friends were Hispanic because both of them picked on me as being a black male. So I get it, Jamarcus. Ken, thank you. Told Ken Lissette he's going to have to come on our political show because me and him are starting to go at it in the chat. So we ain't gonna do that on this show. We'll do it on that show. But that was a very good statement, April. And then you got to work with or get mentored by some pretty well-known people.
Yeah,
Spike Lee was one of them, correct?
that is correct. Well, his area, right?
Yeah.
So his team, his direct, his right hands, and there were two of them. And there were two guys, of course. And interesting. Let me just tell you this really quickly, because I think that sometimes people think it just kind of falls from the sky. In some cases, it does. But I just had a conversation with her the other day. Her name is Angela. She was an intern with Spike of 40 Acres and a Mule when I randomly called. I'm always going to randomly do things, right? I'm like, hey, you know what? Sometimes you never know if it's God talking to you or not. But anyway, I randomly called because I had read this book called The Personal Touch by Terrie Williams. It's Terrie, Terrie Williams, who was a PR person, publicist for people like Eddie Murphy, the late Johnny Cochran, just a lot of, like music industry, all those people. And I got a chance to meet her because at the back of the book, it says, if you're interested in interning, then give my office a call. So yeah, that's what I did. I gave her office a call and I was able to intern with her. Met with her, she was awesome. Very, very, so she gave me a personal touch as an intern, right? Which was the coolest thing. And so then she says, I know Spike. And so next thing you know, so it's all about association. So, but before she said that she knew Spike, I actually called the office and I said, well, look, you know what? If she allowed me to come, then let me see if I can call 40 Acres. I called, spoke with a girl named Angela. She and I spoke for about 20, 25 minutes. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, she's like, oh, yeah, you can go ahead and come on up here. And I said, oh, well, I'll be in New York on this date. Is it possible for me to meet with the team? And of course, I didn't have it on the calendar. I was going to go there on that date just because I'm just making up stuff, but I was going to make myself available to come to New York, just out of the blue. So I took my whole family, including my mother and my cousins who lived in New York. We all went. It's like 5 of us going. and I remember I can't think of his name right now. I apologize. But he was like, oh, wow, you brought your whole family for this interview. And so what it did is it represented us being a unit, right? To say, hey, we're here to support April. So, give her a chance. And so he called me like maybe 2 days later and say, hey, you got the internship. And I'm like, awesome. So I had both internships at the same time, Terrie and Spike at the same time. And learned a lot. I was able to do dailies, write a lot of coverage, be on set, all of these different things. It was like really new to me because it was new writing scripts. And so this was like the lottery, so to speak. And I think that he was in the midst of all this because everybody who said things to me, like, this is unheard of. Most of the time, this is not the thing unless you're in school. And I was not in school at that time. So it's just a lot of factors that go into this. But I learned a lot. So, yes.
April, this is good. What's the one thing about Spike Lee that stood out to you that you probably would never forget that really just just made the difference?
I would say that giving people like me an opportunity was the biggest thing, right? And so, again, I had access to his two right hand people, immediate. Like, they're looking over scripts, and if I read a script that I like and I'm doing coverage on it, they would consider it, right? And so when I met him, he was very nice. I mean, not overly nice by no means, but he was nice because he could have been like very arrogant. I know he comes across a little arrogant, but he was actually very, very nice to me and made me feel like the time that I was spending there was valuable. So I would say that about him. And even just the whole atmosphere, that is what I would say. I felt empowered to go to work every day, even though I was making $10 a day. Let me throw that out there. I made $10 a day. And then I ended up staying with a woman who only charged me $100 a month. And she lived in a 4-story brownstone. And that was God. Okay. So that's unheard of. So it all worked itself out, and I was able to navigate through that space.
See, that is so. We talked about the disadvantages of being, a good-looking woman. Well, that's the disadvantages of being a man. Ain't nobody charging me no $100 a month. Just think about you're a grown ass man. You better get out of here.
Well, I did get lucky, but part of that too was tenacity, right? You have to think of it like I was very geared and focused, so I had to get the internships locked in first, right? So once I got that locked in, then I started calling people that I knew. Hey, do you know anybody I can live with? I have to quit my job, but I have this amount of money available. I know New York is expensive. And yet, they started, because people believed in me and what I was doing, they would call around. So that's how I ended up getting that $100 and lived like a king, queen. It was a huge, nice, clean house. Didn't have to worry about, and they had a maid. So it's like I lived very well. But that's because, again, me believing in what I was doing, talking to different people about how I could get that vision into reality.
You know what? Ken Stevenson says, April, that Malcolm X and Mo Better Blues is his favorite Spike Lee movies, are his favorite.
Yeah.
What are yours?
What are yours?
So he's got a movie, and I know most people don't know it's a Spike Lee movie. It's called Miracle at St. Anna.
Yes,
St. Anna.
Yeah. That's definitely a Spike Lee movie.
Yeah, that I did not know it until the end, but then I saw. But once I understood that was, that he did that movie, it was. Oh yeah, I can see different points of his trademark in there. But yeah, that's like my most favorite. I know it's a war movie, but it really, really took me somewhere, and I loved it. Of course, I love the Malcolm X movie as well. That was awesome as well. So, I have no movie that he has that I didn't really like, except for one I didn't like was what was it? It's like Bamboozled. I actually read the script for that one, and it was funnier on script than it was when it was actually.
You know, it would have been a funny prank if they gave her an actual Spike Lee script and didn't have his name on it, and she's like, "This is terrible. This is the worst script I've ever read in my life." No, but I knew Miracle in St. Anna was his because I saw the promos that he was doing around the country before it came out. And Ken, your other movie, Mo Better Blues, that better be your favorite one because that's going to be you Wednesday. You're going to be blue and battered.
Oh, there you go. But no, I do love, and Denzel. Well, Denzel, but it was just well written. It was one of those things. The other thing I liked about Spike is that he takes you somewhere, and it can be hard. Like, look at the Jungle Fever one. He put that in your face. And there's a line when his wife, Wesley Snipes' wife, I can't think of his character name right now, but she says, "Wasn't I white enough? Wasn't I light enough?" So this is real. This is like getting to the heart of how a woman feels. Like, wow,
Yes.
here I am believing in the Black community. I'm surprised you went out the Black community and you got someone who was white. How is that going to make me feel? And these are kind of things that touch so many different people. He hit some nerves on that one. That was probably one of the reasons why it was such a successful movie. Mm-hmm. But these are conversations we have to have. It can't be sugar coated. And I think that's what I like about Spike.
You know what else he did in that movie, Lisette?
What's that?
It's a Black movie about Black problems, but there's also someone else who had a problem in that movie, and it goes back to what I said about we deal with racism so much we forget about misogyny, right?
Right.
At the end of the day, did Wesley Snipes get his wife back?
Yeah, she took him back.
The person that lost it all in that movie was actually the white woman.
Wow.
Yeah, you know what? It's true.
Her family disowned her.
Yeah. She took him back, but she lost so much by being with that Black man. Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah, and
That's
then we
interesting.
and I was like, you know what? He didn't have to put that element in there. He could have put the ending suffering for
Black
the
woman.
audience it was mostly made for. But then when I go back and think about that movie, I'm like, you know what? That's a movie about a problem, about black people and a black problem. But you know what? He made it about everybody's problem as well at the
Yeah.
same time.
Yeah. And she wasn't just a white woman; she was an Italian woman.
Yeah.
Right,
Wow.
so that makes a difference too. That what he did is expose that culture as well. Wow, I
Yeah.
didn't realize they were so tight knit like that. And so that's what they're thinking about us. Oh, okay, gotcha. You're closer to Italians, are closer to us in their range of color.
Yeah.
And yet they believe that they're better than we are.
That's sad to even consider that. You feel like you're better than someone else. And as like you are a director, so, and I'm sure directors have to choose their characters and choose who's going to play certain parts. Isn't that how we have to? That's the same thing we have to do in life. We got to choose who's going to who's our the protagonist is, or the antagonist is. We got to choose who we're going to let be in control of our lives. Who's going to ride with us? Who's going to be our homies? Because if not, then sometimes they can tend to you know lead us away from our purpose. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. Well, so as I get older, one of the things I have said, and I don't apologize for who I am, and maybe because I'm getting older, right? And so this is who I am, my personality. I mean, there's some flexibility there, but every relationship that I approach at this point is that person going to add value to your life? And that's
Yes.
what I ask myself. And if they don't add value, then it's okay. I mean, it's not anything to that person because that's who they are. But it's about who I choose to let into my time. Because again, we're not here for very long, right? And so I have to make sure that whoever I let into my space is going to help me move my journey along. And if they don't, then we just say, okay, well, it was nice meeting you and keeping it moving, and it doesn't linger. Bad relationships at that point don't linger, or we don't feel defeated. We don't feel like we don't feel hurt in the sense where we've allowed that person to take advantage of us. Spreading bad seeds. It's like, cut it, move on, because I've always said, find the yes in my life. Find the yes. That should be like on a bumper sticker, right? Find the yes.
Wow.
And that's the mantra that I live by in terms of getting my art out there. The pace that I'm going, could have been further quicker, but there was a pace that I felt comfortable with. And once you take that idea of finding the yes, meaning that someone who's aligned with me, and it's not so hard when people come in and out of your life. They come for a season, for a reason, that kind of thing. And it doesn't hurt as bad when you understand that.
That is good. That is good. I like what you said. Finding the yes. And go ahead on, April. Go ahead. I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No. I'm finished with that. Yeah.
It reminds me how that sometimes, we go through life and we forget that sometimes we are just rehearsing things. It's not the final event.
Right.
Sometimes we are in training with the people that we meet and the projects that we work on. And if we feel like it doesn't have like a harvest, then we feel like nothing has come of it. But sometimes that's not the reason for the whole situation. It was for you to practice for the big moment, to rehearse, for the big show.
That's a beautiful thing to say, but I'm gonna tell you this. Some of y'all been practicing too long. Okay. I don't know what other job lets you be in training for 50 years. Like, okay, now we gotta get to work. Okay, how long you want to be on probation? Like,
This is crazy.
no, and I say that because it's like when you read like a self help book and you read other things. You got quotes, you got sayings, you have really good, fruitful information, and people say these things and it's all great, but then you have the sect of people that take it and use it as an excuse because I haven't done the right thing for 48 years. Well, I'm still learning, and I'm like, okay, well, I need you to speed it on up. We don't have a guaranteed time limit to be here.
Yeah. You know what? Let me say.
You want to spend your your later days, and when I mean later is like 80s and 90s.
Yeah.
I'm saying when you get over 40,
Mhm.
that should definitely start the happier times in your life.
Oh, you ain't nothing but a baby.
You ain't nothing but a baby, but again, time is not guaranteed. It's the only
I
thing
would
we
say,
don't get back,
yeah,
you
I
know?
would say this. I would say that it depends on your level of fear. I think
Mhm.
that for those who absorb the self help books and understand that, take a chance, see what it does, lessons learned, and that way you always are pivoting, always improving whatever your baseline is, right? And there's some people who are equipped to believe that. Right. But then there's some people who want to rely on, this is where I am, although I want to do more, but this is where I am and this is where I feel comfortable.
Mhm.
I've learned to accept people for where they are. If you want to get higher, people will see that. And then they'll feed into that. Now, but there are people who just talk, then you recognize that too and say, okay, well, I want to just, if that's where you are, then that's where you are. And that's why I have learned to not get upset for the potential that I see in people that they're not hitting. I then had to rethink how I approach that situation and say, if they, until they believe, let me say it different, until they believe in themselves and actually come to me and say, hey, April, I need your help, then I don't do anything until they come to me. Because I can look at potential all day and try to push you to for to blossom, but if you don't believe it yourself, then I'm wasting my time.
This
And
is
like
good.
I said, everybody's got, we don't know how long we have here, so I can't waste my time on those who aren't aligned with where I want to go and
This
where I
is
see them going.
Clarence,
April. This is so good because it reminds me, like, what would you now tell your former self, your younger self? What would you, at the place you are now and all that you've gone through and been through, what would you say to your younger self or your previous self or your youthful you back in the day that would help yourself to be in a better position? What would
she would
you?
tell herself, when you see Keone's name pop on that caller ID, don't answer that call. That first one, leave it alone. Let it go to voicemail and then delete it.
Oh, never, never, never. But I would say, if I had to say something about my younger self, I actually was very tenacious. I would be, I'd take chances. I mean, that's what I did. I took a lot of chances. Now I'm a little bit more cautious in how I take a chance. I mean, I'm more strategic and more intentional with it, right?
Mhm.
But I would say that um, learn the business, not just develop the craft, but learn the business a little bit better. And I know a lot of artists have said that, when they're interviewed, they say, well, it's not just about the craft, it really is about the business, because you don't want one for people to take advantage of you. People will tell you what they want you to hear. I mean, look at what the political climate we're in. I didn't mean to go there, but I just wanted to say that. He's spitting lies, right?
Yes.
But the people who don't do their research or understand anything other than what he's saying, they believe that it's to be true. And so I would say that if you are going into the entertainment business, you really have to understand the business, and not necessarily all the business, but what is the lane that you're living in? What is that one that what is it? And choose one. I mean, we as African American folk, we got like tens, and like you laughed at me about being a Jamaican, but it's true. A lot of us have like 10, 15 different titles because we've had to be able to do that because we couldn't rely on a counterpart being able to help us out. We had to learn it ourselves, right, in order to get it done.
Who you telling?
And
I
so
make that joke about you, and I got like 20 titles
I know,
myself,
I know.
right?
That's why I said that. You saw I turned it back on you, right?
Yes.
but what we have to do, and you see, you just made me lose my train of thought here. But
That's okay. Maybe it happens for a reason. Clarence had a statement here. I tell my wife to stop letting people take advantage of her. Very few people are willing to give her what she is due. And I think what that is, and that's a statement that happens to a lot of people.
Mhm.
And sometimes what we don't realize is the most giving people. Me and April, we've talked about this. When we have a big event coming up, which we got to remember, you got to talk about it. And I
okay,
remember the one thing that you ask is, well, what do you want to make helping me out, Keone? And I said, don't worry about it. And you're like, wait, no, that's not, and because I'm always in this mindset of, let me help this person because I never know what help I'm going to need down the future. And when you're giving, people know that and they will take advantage of that. I've done
Right.
so many things to where, I'm flipping the bill or I'm taking the hit on it, and the person or people that I'm working with don't get it, and they
Yeah.
want all these concessions,
Yeah.
and it's like, wait a minute,
Yeah.
we didn't talk about this in the beginning.
Mhm.
Now we're at the end goal. And I remember this guy, I was doing my 40th birthday comedy roast. I showed you pictures of that. I had 103 friends come
Mhm.
from around the country, and I had a big event. I paid like $13,000 for the ballroom,
Mhm.
um, and paid for my parents to get there, a couple of other people who couldn't, that were special in my life. So I asked this person to come and do some jokes because he's a friend of mine and a comedian, and I'll fly you there because I know you live in California, which is
Mhm.
not a cheap ticket. He
Right.
says, okay, well, I fly first class
Oh no.
plus. And I said, what?
Mhm.
He said, I fly first class plus. That's what everybody flies me. I'm like, number one, you're my friend.
Right.
Number two, I'm not even flying my dad and mom. I gave them gas money to get in the car because I'm,
Right.
I'm pinching pennies here. And
Yeah.
he would not come unless I got him a first class ticket
Yeah.
because that's what he believes he deserves. And that was, well, I'm 46 now. That was 6 years ago. We haven't talked since.
Wow.
Yeah. Well,
But
that's taking advantage of that. Because ask him if when he pays for his first class, or when he pays for his ticket, does he buy first class? I mean, that's kind of like the question you ask. Or if you want to upgrade, I can pay for this, but if you want to upgrade, it's on you.
Yeah, because when we
That's a
talked
true
about it
difference.
originally, that wasn't the deal, and then now we're getting close to the end time, and now it's, hey, can I get this? Can I get that? And it's like, wait a
Oh
minute,
yeah,
wait a
no,
minute.
they're not friends.
Yeah.
And that's the thing too. As I was telling you before about business and expectations, you kind of got to make sure that it's not lopsided.
mm-hmm.
Point of view, right? But if you're given, I shouldn't say man, just in a relationship, it doesn't have to be man and woman, just any relationship, if you're giving more than you're receiving, then it's not that's not a relationship. That's a lopsidedness, right? And somebody's always going to lose in that case, right? Or feel like they've been taken advantage of. But then, same thing with business. It's got to be, if you're saying that you're partners, then it's got to be down the line partners. You've got to contribute,
Exactly.
even if it's not the same dollar amount. It's got to be something that's comparable to make sure that both people are whole as they move forward. And that's another thing that a lot of people in business don't understand. Or two, me as a female now, I've been a little bit more stern about it because before I was like you, Keone, I was like, oh, you're my friend. No, this is business. And in order for you to start to move in that space of getting a return and building on a business, it has to be, everything is laid out, everything is, the expectations are there. So either you agree to them or you don't agree to them. So that way at the end of the event or show or film or whatever, then everybody should be aligned. And if you're not, then where's the problem? Where's the issues? And that's why I'm very, very focused when I said about the business, handling the business. What that means is making sure that any investment that you put in there has a return on it. Even if you break even, it's better than going into the negative for sure. So just know women, especially, I mean men too, but know your value, know your worth, but also to compromise. It's okay to compromise. It is okay to compromise. Because if you want to keep that relationship, you have to compromise. It can't be just me, myself, and I. Look at the guy who won a first class ticket. You ain't friends no more.
Wow. And April, this is good, but Ken says he's also a director and he wants to know, um, um, April, what do you do to get in your creative mood? And also, what is your inspiration? How do you stay inspired?
Tequila. No, I'm just kidding.
What'd you say? What'd you say?
I said tequila again, but I was
Oh,
just joking. Go ahead.
ding, 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 ding. It's kind of like what happens here, right? But what I was going to say was, I listen to stories. I absorb stories from people, and I write about how they're feeling, right? So it's kind of like I'm a Pisces as my zodiac sign, and I do believe that we feel things from about other people. And so, yeah, I would say that wanting to share someone's story is what drives me. Me wanting to share my own stories. I've gone through pains, challenges, and instead of being angry, I wrote about it and put it in some kind of form, some kind of art form. And those are things that I want to definitely produce. And that's what keeps me inspired. It's kind of like giving birth to kids, right? So I've never had a child, never given birth, but I would say that having released that into the world, it makes me feel good. And I love that feeling of creating something from nothing. I love that feeling.
That's awesome. That is awesome. It's almost like trusting the process. You gotta trust the process because sometimes what you're working on and what you inspired to do doesn't always seem like it's going to turn out to be what your main plan, your focus.
Yeah.
So you have to trust the process.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. But also too, I think it's whatever I decide to sit down and put my energies into creating, because writing is one of those things where I can write one draft, but I got to go. It might be 15 drafts before it says what I really wanted to say. And I think that some people forget that. Because they think, oh, everything is just great and wonderful. You see people on set, but you don't know how many drafts that went through before actors are able to act it out, or how many times they had to do some rewrites, or get the voice of that character before it's actually filmed. So there's a process. To your point, trust the process, but also too, there's so much that we can say. If people in the past did not write down or document their point in history, we wouldn't have why the cage bird sings. I know why the cage bird sings. We wouldn't know about a lot of the Black authors that um, who wrote moments in their time, and adhered to their talent, and what was in them, giving it out to share with others. We wouldn't have that. So I always encourage people, if it's in you, get it out. Meaning that if you want to direct, start directing. Don't just talk about it. You can write all kinds of books. Just start pulling some people together. Take your phone. That way, then you can look at the product and say, yes, this works, or this doesn't work, and really, really start. Remember, I said pivot, you change, pivot, increase the versions. Like make things better. But you have to start somewhere, and just talking about it is not going to do it. Just to Melvin's point, you can read all the self-help books you want, but it's about walking into it, even if it's one small step at a time.
That's so good. That is absolutely awesome. I really love the fact, that you are a director, and I admire that very much so. And is there anything else you would like to say to those inspiring directors out there that would love to get into the field, and maybe a warning even, that you would like to give to them that you've experienced that would help them on their way?
I would say trust yourself. Again, I've sometimes relied on other people to be able to execute my vision, and their vision is not my vision in a lot of cases. So go ahead and continue and surround yourself by people who can help you get that vision. Now, there's some people who can offer good advice because they may be aligned with some of the things that you're doing. But remember, just stick with your gut, because sometimes going against the norm is actually what makes you shine. So just FYI, but also be gracious with people, because people don't have to take their time to help you out, but always be gracious to people, but also to put the work into it. Don't just talk about it, be about it. And even if you fail, you will fail until you succeed. So if you had that mindset, not, oh, I just failed this one time, I'm not going to do it again. It's like, no, let me fail at least 10 times or 15 times before it actually starts to move in a direction for success.
That's good. And April, you have a project coming up. Um,
I do.
Tell us about
Yeah.
the project.
So, and me as a writer, I'm always stretching myself, and so for many years I've written poems, poetry. I like that lane, and so I worked with some people who were able to help me craft those poems into lyrics, and then from there work with some musicians, and then from there work with singers, and you're one of the singers as well. Mm-hmm. And we're going to have a show coming up on Friday the 21st, which is on a Friday from 7 until 9, but it's going to be red carpet, meaning like dress after 5 and walk the red carpet, take pictures in front of the banner, and then Keone has a few shows that he's going to be able to at that event, so they can kind of capture the moment with the audience, right? So it's awesome that he's going to be interviewing that, especially with behind the scenes things. And so yes, so it's singing. It's going to be a clip or two with a couple of movies that I've done, one in the past and one that's going to have a premiere for this year. So yeah, so pretty excited about it, and this is my first time exposing myself as a songwriter, and so I'm excited. But guess what? I'm a little nervous, but I'm looking forward to it because it can only get better. You know, we step in that direction and we keep moving, and yeah, and I'm just thankful for the people who have supported this project so far, and the ones we're going to be doing in the future. I do have some people that I will recognize that night, but definitely my parents. I'm hoping that they both can come. They've been a little sick lately, but I'm hoping that they both can come so I can kind of take a moment to thank them for always supporting and encouraging me to follow my dreams. So yeah.
Lisette will probably say a prayer for you because when she says prayers for people, they work. I'm the only unlucky one. Every time she prays for me, I get hurt.
Oh, please.
So I'm going to ask her one day to record these prayers because I need the list. I need to do an inventory of what she says.
Yeah.
Because no, but
Yes.
she's awesome. I love both of you. You both are great
Love you too.
to work with. It. You both have a different pain, as we all do. I'm sure I am not 100% a joy to work with.
Oh no, you are. What are you talking about?
No, please. Uh, there's a pain in there for everybody somewhere, but you know what? The good outweighs the pain, and it's if I'm gonna deal with the pain with anybody, I'd rather deal with it with people like y'all than other people anyway. So
thank you for that. I don't think there's a compliment, so thank you for that.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you know what? This is so good. I've enjoyed April Mile.
Oh
You know
wait,
what?
I forgot something, April. I
Okay.
mean, and Lisette, if someone wants to go to this event, how do they get a ticket?
Exactly.
Oh yeah, so if you go to Rock, Groove, and Jam, so it's Rock ROCK, Groove GROOVE, and AND Jam JAM.com, they should be able to go under upcoming events and be able to purchase a ticket. It's $35 for the tickets. Now after the 16th, they actually go up. So I'm really encouraging people to get them early. We're already at 80%. At this point of this interview. So you just never know. And if you want to come, that's definitely, something you want to put on your to-do list today. So, yeah. And then we're not selling tickets on the day of the event. So,
and I have put the link in the chat for anybody so that, Marcus said he Googled it already. I love a fast person. But I have also put the link in the chat to help you guys get right to it. If you live in North Carolina area, it's especially close for you. It's going to be in the Raleigh area at North Carolina State University. And the address and location and times are all on the website with the link that I provided.
And also, Clarence says, have you seen the movie that my wife is co-starring in? Lord, do it for me. So thank you, baby. Yes, check that
Yeah,
out too, all right?
yes, we've seen all the movies, we've heard all the songs, Clarence.
Dr. Keown.
Clarence is a good he's your promoter. He's your hype
I
man.
love
He
it.
does a good job.
yes, he does. Yes.
Yes, he is. And you know what, April? Thank you so very, very much for stopping by, and coming to the Rise with Lisette show. I really appreciate it. You're a great woman. And I'm excited about your show on April the 21st. Please, everybody, please get your
February,
tickets and come on out.
February 21st. Yeah, February 21st. Yeah.
February 21st, by all means. All right. So, thank
So I
you
really
again.
enjoyed it. Thank you, Kiani. Thank you, Lisette. I really enjoyed it. So thank you for inviting me today.
You're welcome. I love you. And everybody, y'all have a wonderful day out there, all right? And just remember that, you know what? You are directing your life within yourself. So, whatever you want your life to be, whatever you do today is going to decide your future for tomorrow. So, make sure you direct it carefully, all right? You be blessed. And thank you for another Rise with Placette.